Hello, folks. Welcome to the Speedgaming Live 2023 Timespinner Randomizer Tournament. I am Jim the Eternal, and I am proud to present these racers. We've got mikenekopi on the left. We've got gabrieljcampos on the right. This is the first round of what I have been taken to calling the second chance bracket. So both of these racers are fighting for their tournament lives, and I'm really excited to see how this seed shakes out and where things head. To start off, we have an Umbra Orb minus, so not a whole lot of damage yet. The spell might yet take that over, but the damage randomizer has not been. Oh, the damage randomizer has not been nice to our racers here. So Colossal Hammer, a fantastic spell. Not throwing any shade on Colossal Hammer, but Colossal Hammer minus is not going to be. It's going to get outclassed. I think it'll be okay for the beginning, but it's not going to do everything they want, and it is still kind of an expensive spell. So we don't have a whole lot of damage here at the start, but hopefully it'll come together. In the meantime, we're going to be seeing our racers picking up the warp room here on the left so that they can warp back here in the event of an emergency, or in the event of having progression towards Lake Serene. And we'll see what they pick up. Shattered Orb minus, all right. Probably a better choice than Umbra minus. Shattered Orb, just generally a very good orb, but still minus, still not the best. And nothing in these initial set of chests to make up the difference. So we should see our runners kind of following the same path here at the start. I would expect to see them heading left like Pi is right now in order to grab that first chest by the birds, and then heading right towards the bulk of the rest of the chests from here. We have a path over to a slight divergence area where they can choose to go up or down, but until then they're going to be, I think, following the same path. Is that Wind Orb? That is Wind... Storm Eye, I think, is the name of the spell. I didn't see the damage level on it. That looks like Storm Eye neutral, if I had to guess. Which... definitely better than some of their previous options. Storm Eye Plus? Ooh, even better. That means Wind is plus, and Wind is a hell of an orb if you are up to mashing. But yeah, for now we're going to see them heading over and picking up some more minus orbs. A lot of orbs! A lot of orbs this run. Most of them minus. And I think our first divergence may or may not actually be a divergence, but the first possibility for divergence is going to be right over here where Pi is. We're going to be seeing a split to go up or down, or up or to the right. And this right path, Plasma minus, I can't believe it. Everything is minus. This right path leads down to the Siren's Cave, the upper cave of banishment, which has... Modern Warp Beacon. Okay, there's a lot more room for divergence than I thought they were. But yeah, there's the Upper Cave of Banishment down at the bottom. There's the castle with the next set of upcoming bosses up and to the right, which is where Pi is heading. And there's the Modern Warp Beacon, which, well, that gives them access to an entire another age. Gabriel heading down to the warp by the Caves of Banishment. So this potentially gives him a little bit of an advantage later on at the cost of a little bit of time loss now. Once he gets to the point where he has Water Mask, for example, he may want to come back here and explore. Gabriel taking a look at the present. So we have warped to the entrance to the Sealed Caves, which is very close to the beginning of the start of the vanilla game. The beginning of the modern era. I suspect Gabriel may hang out here a bit. There are some relatively easy checks to get. There are some relatively easy enemies to kill. But that means that Pi and Gabriel are off in two completely separate areas. So this is absolutely a non-standard routing decision. And wherever the progression is, we're going to see one racer probably get an advantage over the other. Pi picking up the gas mask, that is a relevant piece of progression. We know that they both have present access, and the gas mask means that the Maw, one of the 3 required bosses to make it into the lab here, is now in logic. It is available to be killed, or at least the game expects you to be able to kill it, which is a necessary piece to access to the lab, as I was saying. unlocks a couple of extra checks here in the present, and notably puts all of the stuff in the lab and behind the lab into logic. So there's a whole lot of game here with with the settings that we've got, Unchained Keys and Enter Sandman. The lab is no longer the only way to access the Ancient Pyramid. It's no longer the only way to access the end of the game, the true ending boss fights that are necessary in order to get your win. With a mysterious warp beacon, you have access to the pyramid immediately, although you still need all 5 pieces of the time spinner in order to be able to fight the bosses. So we are still looking for all 5 pieces of the time spinner for Go mode, as well as some method of pyramid access, whether that is by breaking time at the lab or by finding the mysterious time warp beacon. The mysterious beacon. The time warp beacon is a different beacon. But so far, nothing particularly impressive for either of our runners here. Gabriel now coming back out of the present and into the past, where Pi has already been making his way through the castle. Gabriel probably just following in Pi's footsteps for a bit here. Yeah, we'll see what comes up next. Oh, Batty Mouse makes a good point. There was water down in the Lake Desolation area that Gabriel was exploring. That's not usually there, and that is another new feature for this year's race. It's the Rising Tides flag. There's areas that could be flooded that aren't usually, or could be drained, could have the water removed that usually has water. So that could definitely change routing. Some of that can be seen from the map. This game has an excellent built-in tracker. If any of our runners just decide to check the tracker, we might be able to see whether they have access to some areas they might not normally have access to. But also, just as they progress, we'll see whether or not they can get to the areas that they expect to be able to get to. Gabriel missing the moat jump. I think he's going to have to go back up and make that jump again. It is definitely makeable without any, additional movement tech. You don't need vertical. You don't need any additional speed. You can just make the jump, but it is a little bit tight. You just got to go and believe in yourself. Oh, didn't believe hard enough. I'm seeing a request to explain the game. So this is Time Spinner. Time Spinner is a fabulous Metroidvania made by Lunar Ray Games. The story in it is a personal favorite of mine. I really like the way the characters are written, and the mechanics are absolutely wonderful. The game is a heavily inspired by Castlevania. There's a lot of callbacks to Symphony of the Night, especially in the UI. And it's really a fantastic time, both the vanilla game and the randomizer. I think this game has a particularly good randomizer. In a bit of equipment, the old coat for Pi on the left. I don't think that's going to be doing much for him. It is a little bit of a defensive boost, but most of the time our runners are going to be looking for some extra damage on their equipment. So the old coat, no extra damage boost, probably not really even worth the time to go into the menu and equip. Gabriel having a rough time with that log tosser. But slowly following in Pi's footsteps and going to be picking up the same things that Pi has picked up till now, I think. With not much to show for his divergence into the present, unfortunately. I think he was hoping for more of an advantage, more progression, or more of an equipment boost, or some better orbs or something. Didn't really pay off, I don't think. Pi did pick up the elevator keycard, which one of many different keycards that allow access to certain parts of the present. There's a huge swath of the present that isn't accessible unless you have the right kind of keycards. The elevator keycard specifically allows you access to all of the Varn-de-Grey towers. Empress Robe. Okay, that's a really neat piece of equipment. That is, I think, the first piece of equipment we found that actually gives a damage boost, so Pi taking the time to equip that immediately. Gabriel not that far behind him, so Gabriel should be picking that up relatively soon. He's got to finish off this area of the ramparts and then head into that basement loop that we see Pi now coming out of and moving on up to the Royal Towers. Although he's not going to be able to get very far in the towers, you need more vertical than he has right now. He's going to need double jump or light wall or celestial sash. Double jump being double jump. Succubus hairpin allows you to jump a second time in the air. Light wall allows you to create platforms that you can jump off of, and celestial sash is just infinite vertical movement in however high you want to go. But Pi is going to need one of these things in order to get much further up here. Time stop also potentially useful. You can use enemies as platforms if they're stopped in time. But without any of those things, there's 2 checks you can make in this room on the left. And then the next step is either dip into the present, like Gabriel has, or head towards the Siren's Cave, the upper caves of banishment, that Gabriel has the warp for, but Pi doesn't. So Pi's going to need to do some backtracking here. Oh, did Pi save warp? Okay, yeah. That's a smart move, given that there wasn't a whole lot of value in the checks that he found. It was a lot quicker to save and exit and abandon those checks for later, rather than take the time to walk all the way back. All right, Pi dipping into the present. I like this play. There's a lot more available in the present than in the Caves of Banishment. And by making this play, he's not abandoning as many checks. There's some stuff that's going to be underwater in the Caves of Banishment that neither of the runners can access at the moment. They need the water mask in order to be able to do that. But that means that a lot of the time you're going to see runners are not as excited to go for the Caves of Banishment early, because they don't like the idea. Nobody does. Nobody likes the idea of abandoning checks and then needing to backtrack later in order to pick those up. Backtracking is slow. But we'll see if Pi gets any more value here in the present than Gabriel did. Can the upper caves be drained? Do you mean Lake Serene? The Lake Serene area can definitely be drained. So it is possible to access the Maw Caves, the regular Caves of Banishment. Oh, the upper caves. Upper Caves of Banishment cannot be drained. That's not one of the features that's available. But Lake Serene is one of the notable places that can be drained. And the water in this upper Lake Desolation area that we're in actually provides our runners more access to the right side of the map than they would have otherwise. We're seeing Pi pick up some of the remaining chests here. We'll see if he ends up going towards the Caves of Banishment or heading towards the library. Gabriel now in the position to make that same choice. He's heading towards the spot underneath the golden idol fight, which is where Pi got not a whole lot of value and then save warped out. Yeah, Pi now heading through this water on his way towards the right side of the present. So neither of our racers yet have checked the upper Caves of Banishment, the Siren Caves. So we're not going to know what's over there until either the racers head that way. And I'm not expecting any of them to do so until it's kind of a last resort, or they've finally found the water mask and have access to all those checks. Yeah, I'm a fan of heading towards the library. The library has one of the 2 shops in the game. The Royal Towers on the right side of the past having the other shop. And the shop gives you access to warp shards, which is a much easier way of traversing the world. Means you don't have to backtrack to a warp point, you can just warp, and that'll take you straight to the last warp point that you warped to. Ooh, Mike having a hard time with this collapsing bridge. Or sorry, Pi, not Mike. Mike. There you go. We've got a... That's a tough one. It is accessible, but it's not an easy jump to make. Oh, Gabriel's checking the upper Caves of Banishment, the Siren Caves. So I guess we will get to see the 2 checks here that are currently in logic without the water mask. This is interesting. I think Gabriel has so far made some of the non-standard plays, which is really interesting, and Pi has done sort of the more straightforward thing, the like, okay, well, this is the next location I'm going to because it is probably the densest or the easiest to get, whatever his reasoning is, but he's going, straight for kind of complete areas and being pretty thorough about them. And Gabriel making the choice to dip into some of these areas and kind of check them out, kind of check out the present, check out the upper caves of banishment, and maybe he'll get rewarded. Pi heading into our first boss fight of the game. Fortunately, the easiest boss fight. Seeing a rather painful boss there. We got the boss randomizer setting turned on here. So bosses, any boss fight can be any of the available boss fights in the game. In this case, we have the Feline Sentry location, which is a very, very easy boss, relatively easy boss, taken over by Zarian, who is one of the more annoying bosses to face. In this case, the boss is scaled to the location, so Pi is going to be fighting a much lower health, lower damage version of Zarian, but still not an easy fight, given their tools are not really all there. Zarian, fortunately weak to Blunt, which is the type of damage that Shattered Orb deals. Shattered Orb being just a very good orb in general, probably the best of their available options. And the Storm, the Storm Eye doing pretty good damage. Even though Zarian, I think, resists Sharp. Or at least, definitely not weak to Sharp. Getting health up for his efforts, and moving on towards the library. Library? Oh no, they don't have vertical. They're gonna have to actually make the jumps in the sewers. Did that count as 2 health ups? I think it did. That room specifically has a bug sometimes where the drop can get duplicated. It kind of is what it is. Most of the time it doesn't make a difference. I think the highest value you can actually get out of it is something like a health up or an aura up. But even then, it's 1 extra. Not that big a deal. So Pi heading over to the library now. There's going to be a bunch of checks there. There's still going to be some checks that he doesn't have access to in the library. There's a tablet that is required to access the download terminals. And no tablet in sight at the moment. Pi doing a pretty good job with these jumps. These aren't easy to make, and those Shiver helicopters are always in the wrong place. Always, always, always. They are in the most irritating locations. Was that mysterious warp beacon? So that is our pyramid access. We're no longer going to have to worry about the lab in order to make it to the ancient pyramid. However, we still haven't found any pieces of the time spinner regardless. Oh, Light Wall Plus. That is our infinite vertical, although it is expensive infinite vertical. Light Wall Plus is a spell that allows you to create a +2. That's even better. Light Wall is a spell that allows you to create a platform in front of you that physically blocks enemies, as well as doing radiant damage, which is a type of damage that is generally very effective. And it gives you a platform that you can jump off of. And you can chain light walls, just making a light wall, jumping on top of it, making a light wall, jumping on top of it, to get as high as you want, as long as you have the aura available, as long as you have the MP. So right now, I think our racers don't have that much MP, so they are going to be relying on consumables in order to get any relevant amounts of height. You can see this is taking chunks out of his aura bar as he climbs here. But he makes it. No need to use any consumables, no need to head back to the save point. And the top of the library has a bunch of checks in it, so this is a valuable move to make. Gabriel, as we can see, following in Pi's footsteps, bringing out... That looks like Ice Orb in addition to the Wind. I don't remember if how Zarian feels about ice. I think Zarian is neutral to ice or resistant to ice. Weak against fire, weak against blunt, weak against radiant. But this definitely works, and getting some potentially valuable orb experience, probably not very valuable, orb experience on the Ice Orb and the Wind Orb by killing all of these worms that Zarian spawns. So we have a D key card for Pi, which is going to open a few more things in the library, as well as opening access to the right side of the map. Pi can now get out of the library. So far, still a low progression, low power seed. There's one of the time spinner pieces, the first gear, available behind the D key card. But yeah, absolutely a rewarding library trip, but our racer's still probably feeling kind of weak. Not a whole lot of experience, not a whole lot of orbs to do what they want. Nothing more powerful than the Storm Eye, which is admittedly a decent spell, but difficult to use for sure. And as Gabriel gets through here, oh, using the Storm Eye to deal with those helicopters, that's a good call. Then you don't even have to worry about it. Trying to hit those helicopters out of the air is always a problem. Pi heading towards the elevators, the Vandergrey Towers. So the elevator keycard definitely going to serve him well here. He should have access to most of the checks. There are, I think, 2 checks gated by the C keycard, as well as a check behind an A keycard and a check behind a B keycard. So without those keycards, there's still a few checks he can't get. But there are a bunch that he can. And this kind of has to be where the progression is. So we're hoping to find something sooner rather than later. He also has the choice at this point. Oh, no B key card. Never mind. I was gonna say he has the choice to head towards the present version of the Siren Cave, the upper part of the sealed caves. But I don't think he does without the B key card. I think he has to. Oh, he's actually locked from heading over to the right side of the Varndegrey Towers. So this is actually a hard stop until they find more progression. This is the end of the line until they find more places that they can go. Or something that unlocks something else. That's true. With Lightwall, there's a lot more available in the past. So Lightwall definitely potentially leading them to Ilana's Towers, to the Royal Towers on the right side of the past. Lightwall fully opening up the left side of the map as well. They can get past the broken bridge over to Lake Serene in the past. And Pi, indeed, making that choice. Heading over to, looks like left side. Looks like he wants to check out Lake Serene rather than heading towards the Royal Towers, which I think this is a choice that a lot of runners would agree with. Ilana's Towers have a lot of vertical required, and Lightwall can get you everywhere, but it's a bit of a hassle to chain Lightwalls together in order to do the things that you want to do. Wants to burn some vines? Yup. He does have fire. He found the Pyro Ring. So he has the ability to burn the vines here in the past, which unlock a few checks in the present. And, yeah, so the Ilana's Tower is very, very tall, very narrow and tall. And there's a few checks there that are just going to require a bunch of light walls in order to get. So this is understandable. He probably is hoping to see the Succubus Hairpin, which unlocks the double jump, or the Celestial Sash, which unlocks the infinite vertical, just zoomies, before heading over towards the towers. And Gabriel making the exact opposite choice. I love these runners. I love how different these runners are and their approach to this. This is great. Yeah, Gabriel is taking that light wall and immediately heading towards the towers, immediately heading towards potentially the Golden Idol fight. We'll see what choice he makes over here. Personally, I would love to see him skip past the Golden Idol fight and head up the towers, but it looks like that's not the direction he's going. We haven't seen a map check yet, I don't think. Or we have seen a map check, but I haven't been paying enough attention to the map in order to know whether or not the lake is dry. But yeah, Pi heading over to Lake Serene, so we'll know now for sure. Looks like it's dry. So access to the entirety of Lake Serene here. No need for Water Mask. No need for Water Mask to move into the Caves of Banishment either. So Pi has access to the entirety of the Maw Caves as well. Access to that boss fight, which, as I was talking about before, the Gas Mask puts the Maw into logic. So that's another couple of checks in Desolation if he decides to go that route, and potentially unlocking the lab later on. What orb did Gabriel pick up? Forbidden Tome? Oh, okay. So that is a not minus orb, which, great. That's a great start. And Ifrit, in fact, gating the Forbidden Tome orb like usual. This is a bit of a rough fight. Ifrit, a very, very late game boss. All of his graphs are pretty telegraphed. He's not that hard to fight. Unfortunately, our racers don't have access to the cheese spot for Ifrit. But yeah, weak to Radiant, so Lightwall Plus would be fantastic here. There it goes. There it goes. Gabriel figured it out. Yeah, Lightwall hits very hard. You can have up to 3 Lightwalls up at a time. So that's 120 damage a tick here. Impressive work. Once you finally got the Lightwalls out, made short work of Ifrit. Not very rewarding, but Ifrit, or rather the Golden Idol's location, one of the 3 bosses necessary to open up the lab. So it's a landmark. It's a point of interest. Regardless of the somewhat low value reward that he picked up from it. Merely a max stand-up. Pi picking up a neutral blade orb. Okay, that's yet another orb that is not minus. Finally found one not minus orb for both of our players. Blade not that impressive. It's one of the early game orbs, so generally not super strong, but if you have a boss that's weak against Sharp, then that's pretty good. Ilana not weak against Sharp. Ilana not weak against a whole lot. Aura and Chaos, the dark equivalent in Timespinner, are your best choices. Not Aura. Yeah, no, yes, Aura. Just not Plasma. But Aura, Ilana also fairly predictable as long as you're not in Lightwall jail. Should be relatively easy to avoid her attacks, easy to see coming. They do move kind of quick though. So if you're not in the right position to dodge one of these attacks, they could hit you decently hard. But Pi also taking advantage of that Lightwall Plus, even though Ilana's not weak to it, she's still taking decent damage from it. Gabriel making his way up towards Ilana's towers. Very careful jumps there on those light walls. It's a difficult transition to make from one screen below. Because once you go up, the light wall beneath you is no longer there. So, yeah, still going along with their separate paths here. Jin Inferno, a very powerful spell. Jin Inferno, the most powerful pound for pound spell in the game, in addition to being the most expensive. However, there is a glitch that we have decided not to ban because it's frankly easier to do it than to not do it. Which is, if you chain cast Jin Inferno, it only takes aura from you the once. As long as it's still on screen with your second cast, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. Which makes Jin Inferno, even at neutral, even at not plus, probably a good choice here. Gabriel having a rough time with those light walls. The light wall is infinite vertical, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to get up, especially in those narrow places. But Gabriel filling up his MP, filling up his aura, and heading on back. Both of our runners putting themselves into Lightwall jail with relative frequency. This is the problem with having Lightwall as a weapon, is especially in these narrow corridors that Pi is fighting in. It's very hard to get past your Lightwall under the right circumstances. Gabriel picking up the C card. Okay, that's going to be relevant. That's opening up the right side of the elevator towers, as well as a couple of other checks that are gated specifically by the C card. Gabriel looking like he is happy where he is in Ilana's towers, so I think we're not going to see much of that C card value in the immediate future, but that might be the deciding factor on where he goes next after Ilana's towers. Mike having a rough time on this one, or Mike, wow, why do I keep doing that? Pi having a rough time with these jumps. This is some varsity level light wall usage. It's got these the notches on the side that you can kind of latch onto and jump off of. But if all you have is light wall, they're kind of a trap, honestly. It's harder to use them and use your light walls than it would be to just spend the aura and make an extra light wall. That dog, extremely dangerous. Loud Borks. He is a good boy, though. They're all good boys. Gabriel checking out the shop in Ilana's towers now. I think he already has warp shards from the shop in the library. Can you pet the dog? It's dangerous. It's a dangerous proposition. The dog, he's a working dog. You can't pet him on the job. Pi heading into the Maw Caves now. Okay, great. So, a continuation of the Lake Serene checks, now heading into the Caves of Banishment, where the Maw boss is usually located. And Gabriel continuing his a whole lot of light wall climb into the top of Ilana's towers. So we're seeing some real divergence here. Nothing particularly valuable though on either side. A key card for each of them, and no real difference other than that, and not even particularly effective orbs or particularly effective equipment. We've got a neutral orb for both of them. This is a slow seed. This is some rough starts. But hopefully we'll find something good for one of our racers and get things moving. Captain's uniform, not very good, unfortunately. Captain's cap, quite good. Captain's uniform, only defense. I'm making the correct choice to simply ignore. Pi potentially doing another save and quit strat here. Picking up a couple of chests. And if there's nothing useful in them, gonna save and quit back to the top of the Maw Caves in order to take the upper route across instead of the lower route. And nothing good. Some aura up, potentially useful, but not enough to keep. Not enough to spend the time on it. Gabriel now making it up to the Ilana location. And instead of Ilana, we find her father, Volturilis. This is definitely a rough fight to be in the middle of when your only vertical is light wall. No double jump, no time stop. I'm very interested to see how Gabriel handles this. But he should definitely have enough healing to make it through this. With access to both of the shops and a decent chunk of money. Not like all of the money, but enough money to buy some consumables. And yeah, having the ranged option in Forbidden Tome, definitely providing value as well. In the Jackpot room, and finding the tablet, as well as Frozen Spires, the ice spell. Ice is still minus, so probably not that helpful, but the tablet allows access to all of those download checks, all those terminals in the library that they had to skip before here. Gabriel getting not much out of here, huh? Not sure which ring that is. Was that Shield Ring? I feel like that might have been Shield Ring. Shield Ring. Alright, cool. Starting to match up the pictures with the actual abilities. Pi still making his way towards the Maw, and Gabriel heading towards the right side of the towers now to pick up the couple of checks he missed. Going to take a bunch more light walls in order to get all of the things, but I think he has it in him to plop down a bunch of light walls for the purpose of getting more chests. All of these light wall climbs, geez, it's so slow, these poor runners. Timespinner gear number 2. So now we know about 2 Timespinner gear locations. 2 pieces of the Timespinner. Was in the bottom part of the Caves of Banishment. The other Timespinner gear behind the D door in the library. Is that iron? That looked like iron. And that's the Time-Worn Beacon. So a warp in the past, but it's a warp that they both currently have access to already. It's in the ramparts. Yet another minus orb. How cursed. What a seed. Pi heading towards the mob boss fight now. This is the area that would be poisoned if you didn't have the gas mask. Gabriel, where are you going? Oh, Gabriel's looking at some of the one-off checks that they missed on the way in. So without Light Wall, there was, or any other vertical, there were a couple of checks that they had to kind of bypass here in the early parts of the castle. And Gabriel looking to pick probably both of those up here, I would expect. The Bombardier's check here and the Engineer jump a couple of screens over. Pi finding the twins at the Maw location, the Golden Idol. Yeah, I mean, even at neutral, the big meatball is pretty good, but fortunately, Golden Idol is weak to Radiant, so Light Wall also doing just ridiculous amounts of work here. The Maw does not have any particular check associated with that location, so there's no drop from the boss itself. But 2 more chests now appear in Lake Desolation. So if Pi decides to go towards Lake Desolation in order to check those fire checks, they're also going to have access to those extra 2 chests at the crash site. Gabriel, where are you headed now? So he's finished Ilana's Towers, finished the extra couple of one-offs in the towers as well. And, ooh, is that Wind Plus? Where did we find Wind? I must have missed one more one-off. But that is a pretty effective orb if you're willing to use it. Not everybody is, but if you're willing to use it. Engineer jump was Win Plus. Okay, cool. Very cool. Pi... Oh, interesting. Pi taking advantage of the Caves of Banishment linking together with the Upper Caves of Banishment here. And checking the available checks in the Upper Caves of Banishment, in the Siren Cave. We already know that it's not going to be particularly useful. Gabriel's been through here. But I definitely think this is some pretty good routing, and it doesn't cost him too much time. He gets these 2 checks, and he can warp out whenever he wants. Gabriel now heading over to the Serene area. Still no water mask, so the Eels checks and the Waterfall checks we don't have access to, as well as the bottom checks in the Upper Caves of Banishment where Pi is. Pi walking to Bat Ledge. Yes, I think that is what's going on here. Instead of warping out, Pi is checking out the other vertical required check in the initial caves area. And Light Wall will handily get you up there. It's not that bad. There's a lot of ways for that to be in logic. The Timespinner wheel allows you to stop enemies. With the wheel and double jump, you can get up to the Bat Ledge. With the wheel and the Teleria attachment, the horizontal dash in the game, that's enough to get you up to the ledge. Light Wall will definitely do it. Gabriel checking out the Cantorin fight now. This is kind of a hard location with Boots, the feline sentry here. So Boots notably has no weaknesses. He does have strengths, so there's some things that don't work as well against him, but no particular weaknesses. Boots is the first boss in the game, but being here in the Cantorin location, he's scaled up. So he's got some higher damage, and a much beefier health pool than you would expect from the first boss of the game. So Gabriel might be here for a bit. Taking advantage of that Win Plus, getting a bunch of damage while the boss just sits there. Pi going for those same one-offs that Gabriel's already checked. So we know he's not going to get too much value out of here, although he may also decide to go for Wind Plus over the Shattered Minus that he's currently using. Rip final boots. True, true. Since each boss can only appear once, we know that the last boss of the game is not going to be the big kitty. And that was a healing potion, I believe, is the Canterin reward. Not particularly valuable. Oh, yeah, Pi a Wind fan. Pi picking up Wind Plus and immediately switching over. Goodbye, Shattered Orb. We will probably not miss you. Pi heading deeper into the castle now. I guess Pi's going for Lana's Towers? Or maybe this is just to get to the warp. Still no better vertical than Lightwall. No double jump, no Celestial Sash. Which is a little rough. Definitely a little rough. I mean, you all have seen the trials and tribulations of trying to get anywhere with just Lightwall. It works, but it takes some doing. You've gotta work for it. Gabriel getting bullied by vines. Yeah, that sounds like a thing that happens. So what are we up to now? It sounds like both of our runners now going to the opposite location from. They're kind of high-fiving in the middle and checking all the places that the other runner was already checked. Pi heading up to Alana's Towers here, probably going to fight the Golden Idol location as well. Gabriel going through the bottom of Lake Serene, or the Lake Serene area, taking the bottom route here. I'm not sure whether or not anybody's going for anybody has gone for the top route yet. I know Pi has fire. Gabriel does not have fire, which makes me wonder where Pi picked up the pyro ring that Gabe doesn't have it. Yep, Gabe just lightwalling up the middle, and that was quicker. That was noticeably quicker. Those ledges are bait. Must have been library. Might have been library. Yeah. Well, worst case, I think Gabriel's going to be picking up that Inferno, the Jin Inferno, the fiery meatball, spicy meatball, here in the Maw Caves. So he will have fire access if he wants to go back up to if he's waiting for fire access to take the upper route in Lake Serene. I finding that Forbidden Orb. Not supplanting his Win Plus though. Which, yeah, I think that's right. Oh, you think Meatball was after Azure Queen? I thought it was down here in the caves, but I could be wrong. Well, I guess we'll see what comes up, right? Yep, Pi heading into the Golden Idol location, which, as we all know, is Big Ifrit. I think Pi has a couple of light walls for Ifrit here, and this fight should be over pretty quickly. So yeah, both of them just kind of running through here, and we're going to be hoping to see some progression eventually, but we know that neither of them are going to find it here. So there's not a whole lot of places left to check. I believe once the Maw is defeated and once the fire checks are opened, you have the top route in Lake Desolation that neither of them have been through yet. Gabriel not safe scumming. Well, Gabriel hasn't checked the broken wall yet, so we don't know for sure. Nope, keeping it. I guess he likes Aura, or maybe just didn't think about save scumming. Oh, didn't go to the save room at all. Okay, okay. Yeah, not in his plan then. I see. But yeah, from here, there's not going to be a whole lot of options. There's the upper parts of Lake Desolation. There's the right side of Varn Grey Towers. A Shadow Seal for Pi. That is a nice find. Shadow Seal, potentially a dangerous game, but it's something that scales up your melee damage based on how much damage you've taken. The percentage of health that you're at. So that's going to be a drastic damage increase for Pi, as long as he's willing to play at low health. But so far, he's shown willingness to chance things. So Gabriel making the light wall climb over to the jackpot room. Dangerous for sure. Shadow Seal with Wind Orb? Absolutely. Shadow Seal is just a flat damage boost. So the fact that Wind Orb's number of attacks is so high means that you get far more value out of Shadow Seal than you would with a slower orb. Gabriel picking up that tablet. So the library has some extra checks. Yeah, nobody's been back to the library yet with a tablet. So we have the downloads in the library. We have the right side of the elevator towers, the right side of Arden Grey Towers. And we have the upper route in Lake Desolation, including the crash site checks from beating the Maw, which once Gabriel's done here, they'll both have access to. So place your bets, chat. Where do we think actual progression is going to be found? What are we looking for here? If they're looking for more forward progression, then the next thing is the B key card in order to open up the military, in order to open up the lab past the military hangar, as well as open up the present version of the Siren's Cave, the upper sealed cave. We could be looking for more time spinner pieces. Having access to the time spinner wheel, definitely going to be relevant. If we find the wheel that puts the gyre in logic. We could be looking for a water mask in order to get into all of the one-off underwater checks that they've had to skip so far in the past. A Celestial Sash would be nice. A Teleria attachment would be nice. But none of those things really unlock anything that they don't already have access to. So I guess we're looking for key cards, and we're looking for the water mask, and yeah, those are the big next set of steps. Finding more openings in the present, and potentially finding access to all the underwater checks in the past. But we are waiting until they're through their current locations to see where they'll head next. We've got the Maw replacement boss fight for Gabriel coming up, and we'll have the Ilana replacement boss fight coming up for Pi on the left pretty soon. Bait water mask at crash site? Painful. Painful. You really want to see these runners suffer, don't you? It's certainly a possibility, you know, there might just be nothing behind the water mask. All of the underwater checks not relevant. There might be quality of life. And given how this seed has gone so far, I would not put quality of life as bait. Teleria, not bait. I personally not the biggest wind fan. I would love to see another plus orb. Would not call that bait either. If they find like a good headpiece, I think neither of them has a relevant hat right now. I think there was like an Empress dress at some point, right? Empress robe. Yeah, both of our runners showing off pretty good movement. I think Lightwall brings out the worst in everybody, so it's really, really difficult to make good Lightwall movement. The real trick with Lightwall is just don't get cute with them. Just spend the aura, put the Lightwall up, and make your next move that way. I think Wef Jeffster has a "Don't Get Cute with Your Lightwall" song. But our runners making their way really smoothly through the parts of the game that they currently have access to. Mostly doing some pretty good boss fights. I very, very much appreciate, you know, some of the technical skill required to use stuff like Wind Orb and the Storm Eye spell and Light Wall on some of these movement-heavy boss fights when you have no movement at all, right? Like, they have access to Light Wall, and that is the entirety of their vertical. There's no double jump. There's no time stop. So some of these bosses are designed with those particular features in mind. Without access to those, they get a lot harder. Gabriel now checking Bat Ledge. which a reasonable choice. Absolutely a reasonable choice. There's a lot of these one-offs that still haven't been hit. Warping out, and where are we going, buddy? The future is in your hands. Elevator towers. Oh, we've gone to the library. We're going to the library for the downloads. Excellent, excellent. Excited to see what's here. I am predicting, given the way the seat has gone, I am predicting a water mask. I think we will find the B key card underwater. And I think the lab and Dad's towers collectively are going to hold the wheel and the spindle. I think our runners are in for a long, long seat. That Shadow Seal Wind doing good work against Aurelius. Gabriel has access to the Ifrit fight here. Let's see if he takes it. He does. So the Kobo familiar and the Merchant Crow familiar unlock two of the endgame boss locations, the Gyre bosses. Here we have Sandman replacing Ifrit. So this is extremely scaled. Sandman generally an endgame boss anyway, but here he has even more health, even more damage. Really showing off that high damage. Gabriel taking a death here. I'm not sure if he'll go back for that. I don't think the sunglasses are worth keeping. At the very least, he definitely wants to go back and get that D key card. He can't just not take this upper route. But I'm not sure if he'll be up to taking that Sandman fight again. High in the Cantorin replacement Boots fight. We know this is what, a max stand up? No, it's not a whole lot of value. Wind Orb doing work, though. Boots, unfortunately, resistant to Sharp, so Wind Orb, even though it is plus, even though Shadow Seal is good, Boots not taking a whole lot of damage from it. Oh, back in there. All right, let's see what his plan is, now that he knows that Sandman is doing a lot of damage. High Potion, yeah, High Potion. Taking a big hit. If he takes it again, it's over. Shadow Seal, very good, but you can't risk it all. Yeah, getting one hit away from death and healing back up. I think that's a good choice. Taking some more damage in order to make sure that Shadow Seal still does some work. But otherwise, this is suffering. This is very painful. Moves to the second phase. So potentially in a good spot here. Is this the bottom route of Serene? This looks like the bottom route of Serene. I guess he hadn't gone through here before. Pi took the upper route with fire in hand to burn all the vines. That's what happened, and then never came back for the bottom. Although I remember him doing the dog check, so I'm not exactly sure where we're headed here. Oh, I guess he got to this point, ran out of aura, and skipped it? And deciding once again he doesn't want it. He did that climb? I thought, yeah, I thought I remembered him doing that climb. I wasn't sure if I guess he did get the item. And now remembers that he got the item. Water mask behind fire checks. There you go. So Pi has our first piece of progression now. Oh, Gabriel taking another unfortunate death, this time in phase 2 of the Sandman fight. Oh, he was so close. He was so close. Did he run out of healing? Or did he do the Jim the Eternal special of forgetting that you have to heal and then not healing and then dying? Because, man, have I done that before. Pi checking all of those fire-locked locations. We're going to see Pi checking the crash site as well. So cleaning out the rest of Lake Desolation. Water Mask, definitely, well, potentially useful find. Water Mask might be bait. Gabriel barely even picking up the chest, just like, I want to kill that boss. We're fighting that cat. Go get him, Gabriel. I believe in you. A star for Pi? A star of Lakien? Not particularly useful with Wind Orb, but potentially very useful on some of the slower orbs. If you're not doing orb swapping. All right, so he's dipped. He's taken that D key card. He's collecting his second gear. That puts him pretty much on par with Pi, except for that water mask, which is maybe the next big deal. Pretty much everything was minus, Mikey. Yeah, there was a neutral Forbidden Tome, there was a neutral Blade, and Wind is our first plus orb. So Gabriel moving to the right. I guess Gabriel's going to check out the towers now that he has the C key card in addition to the elevator key card. He hasn't been out this way yet. This is entirely new territory for Gabriel. We know he's probably not going to find too much on the left side of the towers, but he'll be the first person checking the right side. So maybe we'll get something good. I didn't check Batty. I think that he might have missed one of the. I wasn't watching particularly closely at that point. So I don't know if he missed one of the tablet checks. A key, you love to see it. So Zarian's Cave is gonna have that B key card. Is that what we're looking for? Looks like he does still have some checks in the library. So yeah, I think he did miss a tablet or two. Pi just running on in there. Pi believes. Maybe we'll see what 2 checks are being gated by the back half of the effort location. Pi taking just as much damage as Gabriel was, honestly. They're both in very similar locations. Pi taking advantage of that Shadow Seal, though. I think Gabriel might not have the Shadow Seal equipped. I don't know what ring he has on. Yeah, the extra damage from that Shadow Seal doing good work. Kind of need some spells here, though. This boss not particularly wind-friendly. Uh-oh, he's in a position to take one more hit and die. Is that Silence Ring? That looked like Silence Ring for Gabriel. I'm not entirely sure on all the different rings. Oh, thank you for healing, Mike. Thank you for healing, Pi. Keep doing that. I need to stop doing that. Forgot he has Jins. Jins would be good here. Sandman weak against fire. So even a neutral Jin's Inferno, definitely a good choice. Does eventually make it through. Gets a Berry Pick-Me-Up and a Maximilian Sand-Up. Thanks, Max. Yeah, I honestly like a very good fight given the tools he used. Would love to see some more of the other spells. Like, as you said, a Jin Inferno would have been great there. But definitely getting through it relatively cleanly. Gabriel, I'm not exactly sure where he is. This looks like it's probably the Varndegroth fight. which you love to see Emperors in low health locations. These fights are annoying, especially without movement tools. Gets a bird statue for his effort. And leaves it on the floor. I don't want your garbage. Keep your souvenirs. Bird statue stays there. Still a couple more checks on the right side of the towers here for gabrieljcampos. Could be something good. Could be more garbage. We do know that the water mask is available over in the Lake Desolation area. But that's not necessarily the only progression that's available. Woo, not garbage. So we have our third gear, our third time spinner piece. Got all 3 gears now. So the third gear that Pi is still missing is going to be in the right side of the elevator towers, which Pi looks like he's heading in that direction now anyway. So he's not going to be too far behind Gabriel here. A lab coat in that chest? I'm not sure if that's better than the equipment they have. I think if Gabriel is sitting on an Empress robe, the lab coat's going to be an improvement. But with the amount of levels they have, it's not making much of a difference for these low-level enemies. They're both in Princess? I'd believe that. That was... Tetrico. What do I think that is? From the image, I don't know. Is that... That's not Blue Orb, is it? Nether? Nether, okay. Nether makes sense. Nether also blunt damage, although it spawns a thing that does dark damage. And I think it has a higher base damage than Blue Orb. So Nether Plus is a pretty good blunt source, since Shattered is minus. Blue is minus? Oh, we know Blue is minus. Okay. I think really the best thing that either of our runners could find for damage output would be Radiant Orb. We know that Radiant is plus. And Radiant is just a huge beater of an orb once you've started leveling it up, once you started getting some experience. Gabriel using those light walls to take out Spider Hell. An excellent choice. Hell spiders are weak to Radiant. Yeah, this Nether Orb not doing too badly. I honestly think at this point the Wind Orb might still be more powerful, but if Gabriel's not a fan of Wind, then I don't blame him. It's not easy to use. It's a little hard on the wrists. So other than the gear, not much on this side, huh? That's a Sun Ring, I think. And Blood minus. Nope, still more minus orbs. Gabriel, I'm not sure if Gabriel's going to want to take the path down to the present Siren's Cave. But the military hangar is open. Are you gonna... To the Gyre? To the Gyre? Ooh, Gabriel taking a spicy Gyre dip here. Gyre is only in logic with the Time Spinner Wheel. So the Time Spinner Wheel can't be here. The Spindle could still be here. But we know the wheel can't. And those are the two things that our runners need at this point. There might be some other progression here, but that would have to be gated behind the wheel. Like, they'd have to be able to get the wheel before coming here, even though Gabriel's doing it out of logic. Imagine Teleria. True. True. That is a heck of a strategy for these enemies. Just letting them shoot each other with their charged up shields. I like that. That's cool. That's good. Pi finding his third gear as well. And I think going to be heading... I would expect Pi to not dip into the Gyre here. I'm expecting Pi to walk right on past. Which means if there is anything good here, Teleria, for example... they will be in a good spot. Gabriel dropping some frames or something? This enemy, this is the reason why time stop is required for the Gyre. This enemy is only damageable if you stop time. However, the door will open. He's not trapped here forever. The door will open after 30 seconds? Wow. Pi also heading into the Gyre. All right, well, I guess we're going to be seeing some of this for a bit. Siren's Cave needs B, yep. That's the Royal Ring, I think. I believe our runners already had pink access. In fact, I think both of our runners have already been to Mom's room. So that's not going to be particularly useful. Although, if they're still relying on Light Wall for their vertical, then the Royal Ring might be a good source of aura regen for some of those nastier Light Wall climbs. One more check here in the Gyre. See if it pays off. Stone, nothing. The Gyre, useless. Not going to cost Gabe much time, though, because Pi has also dipped in here. And Pi maybe going a little bit slower in some of these rooms? I don't know. Hard to see. Hard to know for sure. Gabe heading towards the lab now. Okay, yeah. Still no B key card, so he's not going to be able to get into the lab. But you can go... You can go some of the way towards that area, get a warp potentially. Come back later if you don't find it. With only Light Wall, though, this is a rough traversal. Oh, death in the Gyre. Ouch. Is Pi gonna decide that seeing that third chest is worth it? This is the death. This is the save right before the Varndagroth fight, which Pi knows he doesn't really need. That bird statue probably not sufficiently useful. Oh, this is before he got the gear too. Oof, yeah. So he's got to do this entire side of the tower again, or maybe just get the gear and dip. I don't know how much he feels about some of the other stuff that he found here. Gabriel has understandably bailed on the military hangar with just Light Wall. That's such a hard path to travel. Those the present bombardiers are such a trial. So Gabriel going to burn vines now, I think. I'm not sure if Gabriel headed this way before. I guess not. So Gabriel hasn't seen the Azure Queen fight yet, and definitely has some vines to burn. Pi, my expectation for Pi is basically the same thing Gabriel did, actually. Is once he's past the Gyre, trying to get past those present bombardiers and maybe skipping it. But we'll see how stubborn Pi is, and or how effective Pi is at getting through this. Gabriel making quick work of Ilana at Azure Queen. Burning a vine. A relevant vine, we know, since that's the vine that is gating the gas mask. And finding that Jin Inferno. Yep. Well, that explains why he wasn't using Jin Inferno in the Gyre at all. Alright. Pi timing the jump really well. So even with just Light Wall, you can make it past here. I think with just Light Wall, you probably don't want to try and get that check. I'm not even sure if it's in logic. And they both have the B keycard now. So Siren's Cave is in fact open. The lab, once they get there, is open. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that present Bombardier's check, the check up at the top there, is not open, is not in logic without something more than just Light Wall. I think it is in logic with just Sash, but I could be wrong about that. Alright, Gabriel getting these fire checks now. Burning the vines on his way. So, relatively soon, assuming Gabriel takes this to its logical conclusion and goes to Desolation, we'll see the water mask on his side. And then The world truly is his oyster. Captain's Cap, a decent amount of headpiece damage. Pi... Does Pi have better? Choosing not to equip it. Oh my god, these engineers. No healing? No healing? That's not what we're doing? Okay. I respect it. I found Eternal Code. Okay. And the Empire Crown, also a good piece of equipment. Oh yeah, he was still on the pointy hat. So, but suit up maybe with the Empire Crown, and then we're good to go. So Eternal Code and Empire Crown on Pi's side. I don't know what equipment Gabriel has. I think Gabriel's probably still on that Empress Robe, unless he found the Eternal Code as well. And not much for headgear either. But it looks like Gabriel, having done all those vines, having burnt the vines, is going to check the remainder of the fire checks, which I think is a good choice here. And we'll get him that water mask. So Pi now in the lab, with the tablet, he'll be able to get all the downloads. But light wall only for vertical, no double jump, no celestial sash. This is going to be a trial. This, I think, is even more of a hassle than Ilana's Towers. Because not only is the movement a little bit complex, but the enemies are real annoying. And if you just sit still and cast light walls, they will punish you. There's stuff falling from the ceiling in a couple of places. This is potentially a real hassle. Eking the mini-boss here, and we'll see a mind refresh. Not exciting. Not exciting. The tea set will probably go uncollected. Gabriel picking up the crash site checks, moments away from that water mask. What is your next step, gabrieljcampos? So far, nothing rewarding in the lab yet either. Pi making the probably correct decision to turn off the lab before getting the remainder of the checks in the conveyor belt / falling rocks area, given their movement. Oof. So yeah, we're really just looking for those last two pieces of the time spinner. We have access to everything. We have infinite vertical in some form. There are no locations that our runners can't get to if they really want to. There are some locations that maybe not in logic without the wheel or without the sash, just because it's a huge hassle to do as light wall only. But everything I think is either accessible if you're stubborn or accessible enough. Yeah, I'm sure both of our runners feel behind at this point. Like, this is a struggle. This has been a struggle for both of them. High into the Spider Hell check of the lab. We've already seen the Vandergrey Tower Spider Hell. This one has more spiders, because why not? There's our Radiant Plus! Ah, my favorite orb. Yep, and an immediate equip of the Radiant Plus. I wholeheartedly agree. And that the Radiant Plus will make short work of these spiders. This is going to be a much easier return trip. Whoa! Succubus Hairpin for Gabriel. This is the Zarian Caves, I believe, behind the A door. Fantastic. Oh, you love to see it. So he didn't get that water mask. He still didn't get that water mask. I guess he ducked down after doing the top route in Desolation and went into Zarian's Caves instead and got the hairpin for his troubles, which means any vertical traversal, like if he has to go through the lab, which not necessarily a guarantee yet, Pi struggling with these single jump light walls, the double jump light wall, it makes a lot of that a lot easier. So if Gabriel needs to go through the lab, he's going to have a much easier time of it. And Gabriel still moving forward. I'm gonna explore the rest of Zarian's caves here, it looks like. And there's that V key card, which may or may not be relevant. The spindle's in the lab. The spindle's in the lab. Ladies and gentlemen, the spindle is in the lab. This is not a test. The spindle has been found. We only need the time spinner wheel now. So lab is required. Gabriel's going to need to go through that lab, and he's going to have an easier time of it now. But Pi's ahead. Like this is big for Pi. If he finds the wheel, that's it. That's go mode. And Gabriel still needs to go into the lab in order to get the spindle, no matter what he finds. I might dive Pyramid. I think he's going to clean out the lab first, it looks like. I think a lot of the racers have been making the meta decision. That I think that the current meta is when you are at 4 pieces of the time spinner, head towards the pyramid and see if the last piece is in the pyramid. But there's a bunch more stuff to check here in the lab, and each check is as good as any other, right? The wheel could be not literally anywhere, because we know it can't be in the gyre, but the wheel can be almost anywhere. There are a few places which you need the wheel to get to, but only a few, not very many. And if the wheel is in his path forward, then that's probably the race in Pi's favor, honestly. Pi is in a huge advantage here. Gabriel needs the wheel to be here in Zarian's cave or somewhere where Pi's not going to go. Maybe one of those underwater checks that nobody has gone back for. But then again, Gabriel doesn't have the mask either. Gabriel deciding not to go for the Zarian fight and making the we now know correct decision to go over to the lab. Still getting bullied by those engineers though. Is this the Ravenlord fight? Is Pi going in for Ravenlord? Ravenlord at Ravenlord. Is this game even randomized? No additional scaling necessary for this boss. Lightwall, a pretty good choice though. Ravenlord weak to Radiant. Jin Inferno may be a better choice, even though it's minus. Simply because you get to fight at a distance. You don't need to get up too close. But yeah, this is going to be a fight. This is going to take some time. No, he's dipping out. I think he recognizes that. He knows he is looking for exactly one more thing, and that's going to be too much of a hassle. He wants out. I understand. I wholeheartedly agree. You'd have been there for a while. Oh, Gabriel's still getting bullied by engineers. There's such a difference in how Pi traversed this region and how Gabriel is getting through here. Gabriel relying on that light wall to kind of block out half of the corridor, whereas Pi just timing a jump and making it, just going. Pi just believes. Pi believes harder. Still no wheel yet for Pi, so there is hope for Gabriel. Gabriel's going in the right direction to get that spindle. Nice save point. Nice save point. And yeah, the longer this goes on, the better position Gabriel will be. If it's in some weird esoteric location and Gabriel just follows in Pi's footsteps for the whole way, like, he will be moving faster. All of those vertical stuffs, all the vertical movement, Gabriel's going to be better at because of that double jump. Gabriel found his Eternal Coat now, so Gabriel a headpiece away, which we know the Empire Crown is right here, so that's going to be great for him. Equipping the Captain's Hat, which is correct. Captain's Hat, quite good. Pi moving into the Genza fight. We have the Maw at Genza's location. Not going to be a particularly difficult fight. The Maw also weak to Radiant. So, Radiant potentially a really good choice here. Jin Inferno, even at minus. Jin Inferno... Oh, Jin Inferno is neutral, right? Radiant better, but Jin Inferno, even at neutral, is still powerful. Hilaria at Genza. So, Pi has the horizontal movement, and Gabriel has the vertical movement. Pi moving straight into Dad's Towers, even with just Light Wall. Pi moving into Dad's Towers. This is incredible. This is the move that I would expect Gabriel to make here. But, single jump Light Wall, trying to navigate Dad's Towers. Maybe he'll just take these courtyard checks and then dip, since these are potentially easier to manage. And it's mostly horizontal traversal at this point. Shield Sash. Never mind. All bets are off. Pi has every advantage right now. Gabriel's going to do a slightly faster traversal of the lab than Pi did, but that's still just catching up. Gabriel is still behind. I also didn't see where the pyramid warp was, so you might not even need to make light wall jumps there. But with Celestial Sash, again, it's all moot. You can go literally anywhere now. And that means that the wheel could be, I think, actually anywhere except for the Gyre. Literally anywhere except for the Gyre. So it's just a matter of, did you make the right choice? Were you lucky in which chests you decided to check? Still no wheel. And yeah, there's not even any further progression that could matter. Like, they have Radiant Plus, they have Wind Plus, they have Shadow Seal, they have all of the damage they could possibly want. We have the Celestial Sash on Pi's side. If Gabriel continues towards Dad's Towers, he's going to get the Celestial Sash too. So it's just a matter of get the right checks. Gabriel doesn't have the Water Mask, so if it's Water Mask gated, Gabriel's still that extra step behind. It could be that it's Water Mask gated and Gabriel decides not to check Emperor's Towers and just starts heading for those one-offs and picks up the Water Mask and guesses right, but he's absolutely fighting from behind right now. Pi definitely has the advantage here. Pi fighting young Nuvius at the old Nuvius spot. I believe their stats are fairly similar, so this is just a damage race. Plasma minus this seed, so can't really use Nuvius's weaknesses against him. But the Shadow Seal Wind Orb doing some work. Gabriel finding that Radiant, yep. And coming out of the lab much quicker. Like, we saw Pi have some problems with Light Wall here, and that double jump just really boosted him past the problem areas. Pi not finding anything and going for that pyramid. All right, let's see if the wheel is in pyramid. This is the check that I would expect. This is the meta check for how the tournament has been progressing so far. Okay, and they have left side, so that sash potentially really relevant. I don't know if Gabriel has any practice with light wall skip in the pyramid, so if he doesn't get that sash, he might be in trouble. Eternal Crown, not immediately helpful. Nothing, in fact, going to be immediately helpful, unless it's the Time Spinner Wheel. The 5th piece of Go Mode. We're sitting on 4 pieces of Go Mode and Pyramid access to that final boss. So the only thing that's left is that final Time Spinner Wheel. And the moment anybody gets it, the game is probably within 3 to 5 minutes of over. Pi especially is going to have access to that War Point over at the right. He's already in the Pyramid. So he's going to be even closer to the final boss. It's just a matter of, is the piece here? Is the piece he needs here? So get your bets in chat. Let me know. Where do you think the time spinner wheel is? Time spinner at regret? Nope. No wheel at regret. Nothing in regret but regret. Could be at the Sandman door. There is one final chest here in the pyramid. Or one of those random one-offs that we've seen people bypass and not gone back for. There's all of the underwater checks. There's Caves of Banishment. There's Upper Sealed Caves. There's Waterfall. There's the Eels check in Lake Serene. What else? I don't think we had anything particular flooded that we haven't seen yet. Although we could have a flooded lower pyramid. Nope, no flooded pyramid. Is the wheel here? The wheel is not here. Did you take the warp? Did you take the warp? Did you take the warp? Okay, he did get the warp. Well, time to check that map. Where are you going, buddy? Pi does already have the water mask, so Pi is a bit ahead in terms of random one-off checks. I think Gabriel still has a couple of... Oh, Pi hasn't been to Zarian's Cave, has he? So he might take that choice. No, okay. He's taking the one-offs, which is... we already know is the correct choice for him. I think Zarian aversion means that you are somewhat limited in your vertical options. Well, except for the sash. But otherwise a good choice here. gabrieljcampos now in the same position that Pi was in, only a wheel away. Where do you go after you finish clearing the lab? I going for all the little one-offs that he missed so far. Nothing in... he checked Waterfall, right? It was nothing in Waterfall? Health up, maybe? This looks like... Pi beat Cantron already, so I'm not sure where exactly this is going. I guess it's just a longer route. Maybe Pi's out of warp shards or something. Heading towards the Eels check in Lake Serene. Gabriel now on the Maw at Genza. So almost through the lab. Yep, immediately busting out Light Wall and Radiant. Extremely plus. Picking up that Teleria attachment. So now Gabriel has the zoomies as well. Alright, Gabriel going to check these low locations in the towers. A good call. This has the sash. Pi check-in Banishment. Upper Banishment, the Siren's Cave. There is, I believe, 4 checks underwater here. So a decent density of checks. Gabriel finding that sash. God. How behind must both of these runners feel? Pi with, like, 8 chests left in the game. Gabriel finally picking up the sash and the Teleria attachment at 128. One last check underwater here for Pi. If it's the wheel, that's the run. And if it's not, well, where do you go next after here? Still not it. Is he going to go to Zarian's Cave? Gabriel needs Pi to go to Zarian's Cave. If Pi goes to Zarian's Cave, Gabriel still has a shot at this. Looks like he's checking the, oh, the rest of the towers that he hadn't checked. I forgot there were still tower checks. There is the B card check in the elevator towers, which neither of them have seen. And there is Gabriel heading up Dad's towers. Unfortunate. A reasonable play, but we know there's nothing there. Pi hadn't yet checked the elevator spider hell, so this we know is also empty. Pi probably leveraging this to go to the present Siren's Cave, the upper sealed cave. There's going to be, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks there. So a pretty good call. Gabriel meanwhile fighting Nuvius at Nuvius. So what do you do after Dad's Towers, Gabriel? Where do you go from here? You really do need that, well, need is a little strong. Probably need that water mask. Where are we headed? Pyramid? Is it the pyramid? That's the meta check. The meta check right now is pyramid. Given that he needs to go through the pyramid eventually anyway, going for the few downloads that he missed here, and the V keycard check. Nothing. I wonder if he goes back to Ifrit now. Ooh, going back to Ifrit. There's that wheel. Siren's Cave. That's go mode for Pi. And barring something catastrophic, that is the race for Pi. We know that's it. He's got 2 more bosses to fight. At the bottom of the pyramid. And that'll be the end. Gabriel struggling at that Ifrit boss location. Still a struggle. Even with all your equipment and all your orbs and all your levels, still a struggle. Still a fight. We've got Nightmare at Sandman. 1 boss down for Pi. Nightmare notably weak to Radiant. Radiant especially strong this seed. And Cantaran holding the final keys. Cantaran strong against Radiant. So we're gonna have to find maybe a different strategy here. Or maybe just bull through, since honestly, Light Wall is a good spell against this kind of fight. Gabriel using Nether and Shadow Seal to finally get through that Ifrit fight. Bet that felt good. Unfortunately, no value. You gonna make it to the Siren's Cave? It's underwater, isn't it? He still needs to get the water mask before he can go to Siren's Cave. Okay, making the pyramid check. Yep, understandable. This isn't too bad for him. Like, this is an area that he needs to go through anyway. Even though he's going to take some time on chests that we know he doesn't need. But he needs to go through this pyramid anyway, one way or another. And by the end of his pyramid run, he'll have that warp on the right side. So he won't need to do that again, if and when he finds the wheel. But that's time. Time for Pi with a official race time of 1:32:59. So we'll see Gabe. Looks like Gabe is going to continue to go through. He's not that far away. He still needs the water mask. But, I mean, he's just a wheel away, right? I have sent the invite to Pi. Hopefully Pi will jump in here and we'll be able to interview. Second. Hey.
Hello.
That was a seed.
Mike, I was like, can we please get off of a minus at any point in the seed?
Yeah, I don't think you found even a neutral weapon until a good 10-15 minutes in.
No, and then the first dead. I think it was like 35.
Yep. The first plus weapon was wind?
Yeah.
How do you feel about wind, actually? I saw you immediately switched to it. Gabriel, notably, not as big a fan of wind, it seems.
I like it because it's really fast, and it was a plus instead of the blade, which was normal. And blade is really slow. So I figured I can at least get the advantage of going just fast and slow.
Well, you made it. You won, so that's good. How did you feel, at that point, like, grabbing the time spinner spindle in the lab, one piece of go mode away at, what, 115, 120?
Something like that.
What was running through your mind at that point?
Well, I got the water mask, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this off, the red herring. I'm not gonna... I got so much more to do than just, like, 6 or 7 water checks. I'll come to that later. And if I'd gone water checks first, this might have been another 10 minutes faster, maybe? 5?
Could have been. I think Siren's Cave may be a place that people tend to avoid. I don't know if you would have gone there immediately.
I was considering it. I hesitated in my mind. I'm like, I'm going to go to Zarian. No. Not go to Zarian. Let's keep doing a circle around. Because I think that's around the Serene Lake. I was just doing the loop around to clear it all out. I was like, I should go to Zarian. I'm like, no. Let's just skip it.
Oh no. Gabriel's going to Siren's Cave, the upper sealed, without the water mask.
Wait. Why did I not have water mask yet? Oh no.
It's behind the vines all the way on the left side of the present.
Yeah, but that's...
Yeah, those 2 checks.
Those
2 checks.
No,
Gabriel doesn't have that.
Gabriel, no. My dude. Oh,
he must believe that water mask is underwater.
So here's the thing that I don't know if you know. In the what's that called? The gyre. The time stop enemy, is that in logic if you don't have wheel?
It is not. If you don't, the wheel cannot be in the gyre.
Okay.
And the gyre checks are not in logic if you don't have the wheel.
Okay, that's what I thought when I died. I'm like, do I go back? Do I stay? I'm like, no, let's just forget it. It's probably not in logic. Let's just not do it. Oh no, Gabriel, my dude.
Yeah, he might be here for a bit still. He's going into the Zarian fight now, so
did he at least burn the vines already?
Yeah, he burned the vines.
Okay. Then how do you...
That's a good question. I mean, there's so much stress in this kind of, especially in this kind of seed, right? Like, I think it's easy for something like that to just slip your mind.
And that's fair, but like, if you're going to Zarian, then like, you should do this check on the way to Zarian.
Yeah.
Because it's right there, and you're probably taking the portal. I guess no, you're probably taking the other portal to direct to the Zarian. It's hard. I agree.
It is for sure hard. Like I'm sitting here, right, watching both of you. I know where everything is, and I'm still forgetting checks. So I'm not gonna judge.
Oh yeah, no, I checked my map more than enough times to be like, where am I going? I have got no idea what I've got left. Oh my god, I see it, Gabriel. Go to the left.
Yep. You see it. I see it. We'll see if Gabriel sees it.
Like, he only has got like 5 X left anyway.
Yeah, there's not so many more places he could go. Oh, here it is. So he'll get the water mask here, and then
he'll probably do what I did, go to Castle Ramparts and just go left.
Well, I guess he'll probably go to the pass
and go right.
I guess he just never went back and got the firelock checks, even after unlocking them. I'm not sure where he's headed here.
No, because they weren't yellow when he did his map check. So he must have just forgotten that one.
Did he leave one of the vertical checks here?
Yeah, it would have been his first chest.
Hang on. All right, so we might need to dip here.
That's okay. I understand Speedgaming is a very popular place for all the cool kids to hang out.
Okay. I'm going to let Gabriel know.
Well, good games of Gabriel whenever they watch this back. That was certainly a seed. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to go raid out a Weppy or something. Enjoy the rest of my
go
night.
de-stress. Go figure yourself out.
Alright, go sort myself out. I got to. Alright, good night, guys.
All right, yeah, thanks for being here. I think we're going to call it for Gabriel, unfortunately. But thank you all for attending this race. We're gonna see Pi moving onward in the bracket. I believe they are facing. Take a quick look here. Pi's gonna be facing SCZ in the second chance bracket round 2, and Gabriel unfortunately out. But well raced by both of our racers. I think the links to their Twitch chat are in the chat, so go check that out. And that's it for me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting Timespinner. Thanks for supporting Speedgaming, and I'll see y'all later.